We were told that if we came here, we wouldn't be able to leave. The water, weather, and woods will draw us in. But we didn't let that change our minds, because we found too good of a story here in the Bay State. But it's a story not from the Bay. It's from the bogs, and one that posed many questions. How did a plant sustain generations of a family? Why are a crew of retirees still working overtime? What does a social studies teacher know about cranberries? And how is a man trying to secure his future by living in the past? This is what we wanted to learn, and why we took a trip to Fresh Meadows Farm.
All right, I'm on my way to Carver. I'm just going to load up what I can load up, and I'm going to head out to South Carver. I'll check the bog. I'll give you a call back.
All right, just leave me a message. Thanks.
All right.
Yep. Okay. It's a lot of heavy lifting. We're humping those bags off the bog, a lot of it by hand. So I can still do it in bits and pieces, but not steady like I used to.
We got 6 guys here.
And you guys are a lot younger than we are, so it could be fun. Could be a lot of fun. Hands on. I like to say I didn't choose to get in cranberries, it chose me. So my dad had his bogs and my mother had her bogs, and we were bog kids. So yeah, we've been involved in this for a long, long time.
When both sides of Dom Fernandes' family emigrated to the U.S. in the early 1900s from the Cape Verdean Islands, they came as a part of the whaling industry. But after arriving in Massachusetts, they saw the potential in cranberries and transitioned to the bogs.
Folks of Cape Verdean descent that still live around here, and of course Cape Verdeans are all over the country, don't understand just how big a bigger role they played in the early escalation of the cranberries here in southeast Massachusetts. This is where cranberry started.
Unlike those ancestors, Dom didn't know if he wanted a life in the industry.
So you get to a certain point where all of a sudden farming it's not glamorous, and you're maybe not proud of the fact that you are growing up on a farm. Not that I was a farmer then, but growing up on a farm, so you begin to go the other way. It's actually kind of amazing that I ended up back here. I mean, because I was very, very reluctant. I thought when I left this region, Carver, and went off and, got into another job and a career, that was it.
Dom's hiatus from the industry only lasted a few years.
My father got sick. He was running the bogs. He got, he ended up with cancer, and it was lethal.
Dom and I had some, pretty intimate conversations with my father before he passed away, and my father, talked to him about the possibility of at least taking over the business and keeping it viable until we could come up with some sort of transition. And as he probably tells the story, he found himself, very much willingly committed to it.
Good and wet. It's a really cool way to make a living, though I had to get creative those first few years. But yeah, after that, I wasn't looking back. I mean, this was me, and I was going to find different ways to make this work, you know, so.
One of Dom's ways of making it work was starting a 3-year process to turn some of his bogs to organic, enabling him to market them himself.
And I said, well, that's crazy. I said, you know, you can't do it organically. And yet, you know, kind of reluctantly went around and ended up being quite impressed by how things turned out.
This decision required a whole different way of growing and harvesting cranberries. But it ultimately built the farm into what it is today. Fresh Meadows farm utilizes just over 40 acres in a given year. Approximately half of that acreage is used to grow commodity cranberries, while the other half is used for their organic crop. The farm sits in Carver, Massachusetts, which was once the cranberry capital of the country, according to Dom. Although that title belongs to the state of Wisconsin now, Massachusetts still has over 300 growers.
Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control. Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control.
Growing cranberries starts with planting young vines into bogs. Think of a bog as a natural wetland or swamp that's been layered with sand. These bogs provide the environment needed for the berries to grow year after year. It takes approximately 3 years for the plants to produce an adequate crop, and with cranberries being perennials. The Fernandes told us that they will be harvesting plants that are over 100 years old this year.
The single biggest misconception is that cranberries grow in water, and of course they don't. Most of the year they're grown in dry conditions.
The water that people associate with cranberries doesn't come into the picture until harvest time, which spans from early September to late November. But before all of that, water must first be flooded into the bog.
One of the issues we have this year is we are definitely fighting water supply. We had a very dry second half of the summer, so we've been pumping water around and trying to effectively get water where we need it to effectively float the berries. It can be different sources. This is surface water out here. We also have a spring-fed water hole up front.
Over the next 2 days, this 2-acre bog will be flooded with over 2 feet and 1.5 million gallons of water until the plants are fully submerged. At this stage, the berries can be removed from the plant using Dom's custom-built reel harvester.
It's simply agitating the top of the vines and knocking the cranberries off. The reel is literally just knocking them off. I actually built this. This is probably, I don't know, 25 years old maybe. One grower that helped me a lot. I learned a lot. I didn't know how to fabricate. I remember working with him and I was amazed at some of the things he did. And I'd be his gopher. And I said, well, geez, you're mechanically inclined. And he'd say, there's nothing to do with inclination. It has to do with a willingness to learn. And that stuck with me. It's like, well, I can learn how to do that too. And that put it in my head that I was going to learn how to do some things. It's a sense of accomplishment to build something versus buy it.
It's a necessity, frankly. There's really not, you know, in the 80s when Dom took over, I mean, there was a period when there was really good money flowing through this industry. And you could afford to go out and buy new equipment, you could afford to call people in to fix equipment, etc. Those days are behind us, and you have to be more self-sufficient, and that's what we've learned to do. Otherwise, you won't survive.
As the berries get knocked loose from their vine, they float up to the surface due to air pockets within the fruit. It takes the harvester approximately 3 hours to reel the 1.5 acre bog, moving at a speed of 4 miles an hour. Once the berries are free, they have to be corralled.
Given the fact we've got the boom over there, we'll likely start right down this end, pull around this end, and then bring it into the loading area. Fight the wind a bit. Hopefully the wind will change direction. They have a chain on the bottom that weights it down. Then they have flotation material up here. And they're very expensive. About $1,000 for 100 feet.
The crew moves the 500-foot boom into the water and then begin dragging it across the bog.
It's easy to pull one person at a time, especially if you get a lot of berries. So like I'm almost here, I'll just let him pull for a while and make it easier for him to get what's against the shore.
As the boom moves through the water, it consolidates the fruit and allows the two brothers to move millions of berries to the extraction point.
John's been with me since the beginning. Even during the time he was teaching, he'd come in after school. We used to call him Superman. He'd come in and just start throwing things around. He's as much a part of this business as I am.
You know, I'm prepared now for another, I don't know, 15, 18, 19-day stretch.
I thought you were supposed to be retired.
I thought so too. You know, I think a big part of the reason why my mom lived and thrived until she was 97 is that it was being a part of this lifestyle. But she used to always preach the importance of just keep moving, be productive, have a sense of purpose, have a sense of accomplishment. And that's how I feel. I need to have a sense of accomplishment each and every day.
I think they're both the same size.
How the heck did you even get it on?
Here it comes. All right.
You know, that's my brother. He's my rock there, out there. You know, I can always depend on him.
Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control. Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control.
As Dom and John get the berries corralled, they bring in their custom-built wash plant and detrasher.
So the berries that are floating, we're getting ready to pump them up onto the detrasher, that aluminum box. That'll separate the berries from what we call the brown leaf, the trash, things that get dislodged with the berries that are floating. The berries will then end up in the bed of this truck. We talk in terms of barrels here in Cranberry land, 200 barrels in that truck. A barrel is 100 pounds, and that lingo came from, for years, when everything was picked fresh. They literally used to weigh their cranberries and ship them in barrels.
Standing in the sea of cranberries is Robin, another retiree who has helped Dom for over 10 years.
So what I have to do, and what the boom will do, is bring the berries closer to here, but they won't automatically go into the suction. So what I'm doing is taking the rake and actually raking them into this little suction to make more, because this is only, you know, that thick. What Don was doing out here is, this is the boom that as you run out of berries, he will bring it closer to give me more berries to actually rake into the suction.
All while John sits up top, overseeing the detrasher, which is processing 300 barrels or 30,000 pounds every hour it's running. Dom told us that this field averaged 150 barrels an acre, bringing in over $5,000 in revenue for the farm. Once the initial pump is complete, they use a combination of a leaf blower and the boom for a final sweep of the berries, which is done mainly to help keep the bog clean. But instead of firing up the wash plant again, they utilize a drain and series of underground pipes to flush the berries downstream to the next unharvested bog. By strategically having the bogs sit at different elevations, they can utilize gravity to move water, which saves thousands of dollars a year on water and pump costs. With this being the last step of wet harvest, the only thing left is to deliver the berries.
When I was 16, my father had passed, and my mother needed a lot of help. So I went right to work.
Working as a driver, mechanic, and harvester, Wayne has helped Dom for decades.
35 years. I might have taken a year in between here and there, but 35 years I've been part of Fernandes operations.
It's Wayne's job to deliver the cranberries to Ocean Spray, a farmer-owned co-op who buys the majority of all cranberries in America.
We anticipate waiting. That's why I bring my bag. I got everything in there, from a book to, sandwiches and snacks. And I've been there sometimes for 5-6 hours.
As trucks from all over Massachusetts bring in their product, they are raised up off the ground at a 30-degree angle, allowing millions of berries to fall onto conveyor belts, bringing them directly into the facility. In a given year, Dom will sell over 500,000 pounds of cranberries to Ocean Spray, contributing to 60% of the farm's yearly revenue. But with increased costs and the falling commodity price of cranberries, every year the margins get thinner and thinner for Dom.
With agriculture, it's an upside-down model where the price is set as a commodity, and then you drop down through the levels and everybody gets their cut, the handlers, the buyers, whoever that may be. It gets down to the farm and you get a price, and it cost me more than that to grow it. Well, that's just the price. And so it's frustrating. You put your life into a product, growing a product, and you're not getting what you feel is a fair price for that product.
To combat this, Dom did what many other cranberry farmers have been unable to do. He took the marketing into his own hands.
Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control. Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control.
When Dom branded his own line of organic cranberries in 2008, it entailed a whole new way of growing and harvesting the crop. Or maybe old is the better word.
Believe me, we turn a lot of heads when folks go by. It's amazing how so many people have never seen an old traditional fresh fruit operation. It's just so rare now. And it was everywhere. When I first started, I think half the bogs were being dry picked. The wet harvest is now over 99% of all the fruit is harvested everywhere in the world.
Due to the crop being organic, growing and harvesting it brings additional challenges.
When you're growing organic, you're cutting your crop down anywhere from, a third to a quarter in some cases. Maybe a half, if you've got a really good bog.
Dry harvesting is also more labor intensive and relies on the Furford machine. The Furford was invented in 1957 and revolutionized the industry. They increased harvesting efficiency and also pruned the cranberry vines while picking. 60-some years later, they are still being put to work by fresh Meadows.
Just to handle it, the upper body strength you have to have. Dom doesn't like rounded corners. He likes, like straight across, like a square box. So when you get to the corner, then you have to pull it back, and my reverse never works. It really doesn't. They make me put it in neutral every time to pull it back. If you go the wrong way as you're picking, you're going to pull up all the vines. So you go in the same direction all the time. Some are going clockwise, some are going counterclockwise. And you can tell just by looking at the vines on how they're laying down. You just walk in circles until you get to the middle and you call it a day.
As the berries are dislodged, they are conveyored into a burlap sack and hauled off the bog before being screened. The same way harvest was done 50 years ago when Dom's mother was doing it.
My father died young. I told you the story. I came back and my mother became my partner. She was an incredible worker. I could go on all day about it. She was, she's our inspiration. She really is.
It's only the second year. Dom trained me last year. And it's really cool to me that it's full circle. Now I get to do this thing that my family all, basically was sustained by. And it makes me feel close to my mother, who passed about 5 years ago, because she ran one of those harvesters until she was about 80 years old.
And she was the best picker I've seen. She died at 97. She'd still come out to the bog and sit there, and she could walk behind the machine, she would.
After they're screened, the berries are moved back to the farm where they're sorted and packaged by Robin and her partner Richard.
Get the name, get the quantity, and box them up. And later this afternoon, UPS or FedEx comes and grabs the orders, and they get shipped all over the country.
Organic cranberry sales contribute to 40% of the farm's yearly revenue.
We always told Dom, don't refuse any order, because, we'll do what it takes. I mean, if we had to spend the night to get it done, our kids are all grown up and stuff. He appreciates even the small stuff, We enjoy doing it for him, and we know he would do anything for us.
But growing cranberries isn't getting any easier.
It's Dom, John, Wayne, myself, and Richard. Those are the 5 people that work here basically all the time. And our average age is like 65.
The best crew ever.
The only crew.
I feel blessed to have that group to work with. And we'll see how long we can make that work. They keep telling me I'm crazy, but they stay with me, so they hang it in there.
But Dom knows that something is going to have to change if he wants his life's work to make it to another generation.
That is really the challenge for us. We know it, that we're going to need to entice a different generation, and it may look totally different than what we're doing out there, and that's what I would hope, because what we're doing is tied into the past. Carrying bags off on our backs and and running these old Furford pickers. But hey, if I could do this until I'm 80 and I still have the physical ability, you guys come back in 10 years and I'll be out there. So, but I get it. I mean, we're realistic, Time is a ticket. Yeah.
As our time in Carver neared its end, we realized the sayings were true about this place, because it's hard to leave. We learned that age doesn't have to slow you down, or that one man's retirement is another man's overtime, and that a life full of work is a life full of meaning.